don't ask, grab reactions, jacked attack with every word, then act with class as they hear me snap. I got nothing to lose, cause I fought and felt the bruise. Now I'm not the one confused, call the shots and they produce. I ain't lost, I'm finally loose, pick a new silver excuse. I need the views to boost me to a new abuse of being used. Everybody wants a piece now, y'all can rest in peace now. You're dead to me, so peace out. Remember, you're just freaked out. Get ready for defeat now.
Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kirusho here, and now, whenever we last left off with this series, we had Deku, and quite a bit of things have happened. Now, in the last part, Deku, he went to Avengers Tower with Tony Stark, and after spending some time with the boy, and, well, showing him and designing a new Iron Man suit or a new Hulkbuster, Deku talked to the other Avengers, Captain America, Black Widow, and even Thor. Now, after talking with all of them, and even going over a bit of a file, where it looked like a bunch of things were destroyed and some of it was melted, he was told what was going on. After having a panic attack from looking at a certain photo, Deku, he was told by Black Widow that there is a villain out there that has not only super abilities, they have the ability to control fire. And they thought this may have had Deku's name on it, since he's a 70% match to what they've seen. Now, they just wanted to make sure, question him as friends rather than as foes. And with the fact that Tony was already at least building a good repertoire with the boy, this was a good option. However, the ensuing panic he had wasn't expected. Now, it has been roughly about a week, and while Deku, he has been hearing on the news about these increasing strikes or attacks, it does cause some concern. Deku, he's usually out during the day talking with and helping Tony Stark, and he is spending time with some of his friends. However, there's a bit of a problem. Some people know that Deku disappears. Some of them don't know the entire situation except for his teachers and his close friends. And this is actually causing a bit more concern. Some of the X-Men believe that Deku, he's disappearing to cause these acts. Meanwhile, everybody else, they know for a fact that that is not true. Tony Stark himself has kept an eye on the boy around the time where one of these attacks should have taken place. The estimated time was around 10 o'clock at night. Meanwhile, in the Stark laboratory, these two were literally sitting at a table and spitballing about designs, talking about engineering and science. And while the coffee pot was brewing a fresh pot, both these two were basically fuel of caffeine. And the only possible way that that could have happened, where Tony would have missed Deku leaving, would be if he fell into a caffeine-fueled daze and fell asleep. So it's highly unlikely that this happened. Now, this is something that a lot of people, they're starting to have some concerns with. Some superhero teams and even governments, along with even police, they're pointing at sightings, talking about the Hulk in general. Ever since he popped up, shit's been going crazy. And the world, they're still not used to these changes. Demigods, people who can move anywhere around in the world, aliens existing in science beyond comprehension. The world, they're more afraid of all this right now than ever, especially since half of it needs to catch up. Now, we do actually currently have Deku, who, him and his friends, they're all actually hanging out. Deku, he's still a bit concerned with these attacks, and many things have been going on since. Deku, him and everyone, they're walking down the street. And some people, while they do give them a glance, they do somewhat look away. Deku, he feels like he has eyes on him. However, whenever he does look around, there's no one really staring at him. He can't understand why. He feels it. Some people they might look at him and not understand why they recognize him. It was years ago. However, others they might have a bit more of an idea as to who he is. And Deku, this concerns him. If people point out that he's the Hulk, some shit can go down. They can either piss him off or he'll get beat up and the Hulk will be released. And a lot of people, yeah, they'd rather not see that happen. As we do actually have Jean. She does grab onto Deku's hand while they're walking. And Deku, after going to at least glance at her, he does actually calm down a bit, as he's just trying to not panic. A little bit of that concern washed away. Not all of it, though. And everyone's walking down the street. They are heading to a place where they can just hang out and chill out for a while. They're going to go to the mall and see what's going up there. And after all is said and done, they would head back to the Xavier Mansion. As we do have later that night. Deku, he's actually lying in bed. And he's having a nightmare. Deku's been having strange dreams ever since last week. He can't put his finger on it. Something's wrong. As we do cut to inside Deku's psyche. Deku, he's standing in the middle of a street, and he's looking around. He can't tell what's wrong. He feels like he's being watched by something. Something is staring at him. He doesn't get it. And you do actually have where the Hulks do appear in front of Deku. Deku looking up at them to see that there are many of them. You have the regular Hulk Deku's dealt with. The one that is at least a little bit intelligent, or the one we would know as Hulk in general. Deku sees him, and then to his left there is Savage Hulk, the one that looks angrier and more feral, as he does look like he has drool coming from his mouth as he does have his fist clenched. And to the left of them there actually is Joe Fixit. Deku somewhat looking at that guy. He doesn't know much about Joe. However, there's a problem there. The two of them, they've never spoke. They've only had one form of communication, and that was whenever Deku tried to hand over the keys to his life to that guy. Now, Deku, he also does see two more silhouettes. They seem to be nothing more than a pair of eyes, and it is actually a bit of concern for Deku. They're 4 pairs of glowing red eyes. They're just staring right back at him. And it scares him. He doesn't know what to say. As one of those things, they're towering above the others. And it scares him. Deku actually going to step backwards. As he does just go to look back, turning his head. This thing just keeps getting larger and larger. Is Deku just going to turn and try to run? Now, with that, we do cut to outside of the dream world for Deku. Deku, in his bed, he's rolling around, and he's actually just flailing. As whenever he does start to scream, someone does come running into the room. As they do watch what happens. While Deku's in the middle of his nightmare, he does start to turn. And by the time they do get to the door and fling it open, there actually is the Hulk, who he's laying down in the bed as he does get to open his eyes. Now, when the Hulk does open his eyes, he does go to look around. Him immediately going to step off of the bed as he does go to reach his hand out to see who's in front of him. However, that person, they immediately react with an attack. Now, the person, they did just go to bring their hands up and directly blast the Hulk in the chest. As Storm, she blasts the Hulk straight through the window. Now, Hulk is sent flying outside. As whenever he does smash onto the ground, you do have where he does go to get back up. And by this time, everybody's heard the commotion. they all woke to a loud yell and what sounded like lightning striking. And this was something that would obviously set off a lot of flags for them. Now, with that, the X-Men, they do all go outside and find out what's going on. As Storm, she's currently trying to hold off the Hulk. As one of her Cyclops, Nightcrawler, Kitty, Rogue, Colossus, there he is. Whenever they all do come running outside to see what's going on, you do have where the Hulk, he is actually rushing towards them. Whenever Colossus did try to bring his hands up to try and stop Deku's fist, there actually was where Hulk actually was able to Colossus was actually able to catch the Hulk's fist. However, whenever he did go to catch the other one, he did try to push the Hulk back. The Hulk effortlessly just going to bring his hands out and go to try and throw Colossus towards the ground, pushing forwards with incredible speed as he also does smash Colossus right in the face with his own. As whenever that did happen, the Hulk did actually go to throw Colossus up into the air before smashing it back down to the ground, as the Hulk just started to scream out in anger. Now, with that being said, you actually do have somebody who was nearby, as they do go to bring their hand up and pull the cigar out of their mouth. Them going to put it out against the wall as they do start to get ready. Now, once this has happened, we do have over the Stark Tower, where the alarm for the X-Men fence was triggered. And the moment this does happen, Tony Stark, he does go to look up and go to bring up his hand. Jarvis put down a holographic screen in front of him. Him going to check and see what's going on, as he does stare at the screen for a second. The image he has captured. This doesn't look right. As the Avengers, they're moving over there right now. As we'll cut back over there, you do actually have the X-Men. Right now, Wolverine, he's running right at the Hulk, while Colossus, he's actually moving in on the right. Colossus going in is able to punch right up and into the Hulk's face. Logan coming in and actually going to slash into the back of the Hulk's leg. As whenever Hulk does so, he actually does turn and look at Wolverine. Wolverine, with his hands up, he does go to try and throw out one of his claws. As he does actually meet the Hulk's fist and straight up cut right into those parts of the Hulk's hand. The moment that actually happened, you did actually have where Wolverine, his entire fist took the punch. His knuckles swooping downwards, cutting right through the Hulk's entire fist, as Wolverine got sent flying backwards. Hulk actually screaming out in pain and going to grab upwards at his right hand. Now, after this, you do have where everybody they do start surrounding the Hulk. Iceman trying to use his powers as Rogue just start running in. Nightcrawler joining her as one of the two they did go to split, then basically psyching out the Hulk as if one was going left and going right. Nightcrawler went to jump, grabbing Rogue. Them teleporting right behind as Rogue just fall onto the Hulk and go to try and wrap her arms around his neck. Her just thinking, get him into a chokehold and absorb his power. That's all she needs to do right now. As whenever she actually has to go to bring her hand around to the Hulk's face, she has to go right into his mind. Her starting to absorb not only some memories and feelings, but starting to grow in muscle mass. As you do have where she does see it. Her head being thrown backwards as she still does maintain her grip. She sees the nightmare Izuku's living in. As he's still running around. He's running down the street as people are calling him a monster. And as this is all happening, you do have a Rogue, she'll start to repeat what Deku is thinking. As she's shouting, I'm not a monster, I'm not a monster. As the Hulk is currently trying to rampage and throw around his friends. Colossus is actually coming in, as so does Wolverine. Colossus being able to actually grab onto the Hulk's wrist and try to hold him back more. As Wolverine, he did actually go to stab upwards right into one of the Hulk's forearms. Now, whenever the Hulk does actually go to grab onto Colossus, throwing him across the field, he does actually go to then sweep his fist downwards, punching Wolverine right in the chest, picking the man up before just going to grab him by his face. Hulk actually starting to try to crush and hurt Wolverine. As Wolverine, he does just go to smash him over his knee, or Hulk just going to smash Wolverine over his knee before just simply tossing him to the side. I'm then going to reach over and go to grab onto Rogue. Him throwing her over as he does and just smash her into the ground before going to stomp down at her. Hulk bring back his hands to do a thunderclap. Now, Hulk, he actually is about to do so. However, there actually is where they do actually tap Hulk on the shoulder. Hulk, confused before turning his head, being met with a giant red fist, as this actually does send the Hulk flying. Now, Hulk does smash into the ground. As whenever the Hulk does get back up, he does bring his hand up to his head, trying to shake off whatever that was, before he does look and see the Red Hulk. Everybody just staring at this kind of confused, as the Hulk just start to walk forwards, talking about how it's been a very long time since he thought he'd ever see him. Who you? I see. So you're just as stupid as I thought. Well, I've been chasing you for a long time. Looks like I'll finally get a chance to kill you. I thought the heroes would take care of that for me, but it seems not. The Red Hulk going to rush in. As everybody, they start to feel the area around them heat up. As Iceman, he does go to try to keep up. He does actually drop down onto his knees. As this heat, it's not doing him too good. Now, you do actually have Rogue and everyone else. They start to try and take this on. They're going to try to subdue the Red Hulk, as they'll just call him for right now. As the Avengers, they do eventually arrive. They arrive to the middle of a battlefield where there are two giants rampaging. And whenever the Avengers, they do see the Red Hulk, Thor immediately calls dibs. Him flying down there with Mjolnir to try and attack. As we do have with Jean and Charles. They are both trying to get into the Hulk's mind and see what they can do. Charles hooked into Cerebro in the mansion, as he's using this to try to amplify his powers. And Jean, she was staying there in the window. She was watching everything happen. If she runs outside to try to help, she doesn't know if it would be good. However, she can't just sit here. She was concerned. And whenever she was asked by Charles to come down to the basement, she started to understand the plan. Her running down there, as she was run past a few mutants who they are not trying to get involved, trying to leave it to the teachers. Now, she does get down to the basement. As Charles, he does try to inform her as to what to do. Her going to bring her hand up and put it directly onto his shoulder, as she does try to focus as well. Now, we will cut over to Deku, who he is just making his way through the city. People are still shouting and yelling at him. And as his nightmare does continue, it's getting worse, morphing into more monstrous images. As Deku, he is just finally stopped. He's running through a house of mirrors, and every area he passes by, he sees a giant monster. A different Hulk, a different person. And there actually is, whenever Deku, he does stumble into an area he does not recognize. He's completely surrounded by mirrors, on every side. There are people screaming at him, some shouting at him, and some even yelling at him. As Deku, he does just go to throw himself down into a ball, hiding his face in his, torso, and into his knees. Him just trying to think. This is a nightmare. It has to be. It has to be. Why isn't he waking up? Deku just panicking. as we do have where a voice does cut in. Deku looking up and seeing another monster, as it's trying to inform Deku that right now he has no control over what's going on. Right now, in the real world, the Hulk is outside. He is stuck inside. And he has a way to stop that monster. However, they're going to need to make a deal. This being what Deku he does here. Right now the Hulk is running around without Deku there to put those restraints on him. And the Hulk, he can only assume, is rampaging with some of the restraint Deku has. Not all of it. And that's something that Deku he does not like. If he's not there to hold onto those chains, who knows what the Hulk can be doing? As we do cut back into the real world, Hulk, he is tearing apart the X-Men. He's rampaging through all of them, and he actually does charge straight through Colossus, smashing him into the ground, as he does go to clock Red Hulk across the face. Him then going to throw out his right fist, and then go to throw out a gut punch with his left. Thor actually getting annoyed, as he does look at the green giant, informing him that he has called the dibs, and that he will take on this red, this being where Hulk does go to grab directly onto Thor's helmet, along with his face. Him actually going to swing him right into the Red Hulk, as you just smash him into him over and over. As whenever he does smash his two into the ground, he does actually go to reach down and grab Thor by his leg. Him swinging him over his head and smashing him into the ground, before bringing him back down and smashing him right onto the Red Hulk. Before Thor, he does try to grab for Mjolnir. Him calling the hammer as it does go into his left hand. Whenever he is on the upswing, he actually swing it downwards straight into the Hulk's jaw, as he swinged it with as much force as he possibly can. The Hulk, whenever he does get hit, you do actually have where his jaw, it does get unhinged and start coming off of his face. Hulk letting go, as he does just send Thor flying towards a wall. Now, Hulk, he actually is going to bring his hands up and try to examine the damage that Thor did to him. As there is over the Red Hulk, he does get back onto his feet and go to rush right at the Hulk. The two of them meeting in the middle, as Red Hulk, he actually has to try and reach out and go to grab onto the jaw that's partially undone. Now, as the two they do collide, there is whenever they do meet hands. And Deku, or Hulk and Red Hulk, they are trying to have a power battle. They're trying to have a power or a match of pure strength, seeing exactly which one is stronger. And the Hulk, he is just screaming out in pure rage. As the Red Hulk, he's staying there and he's just grinning like a fool. As he does explain to the heroes and even the mutants that this right here is what a monster looks like, and that this is why they need to be put down. Him starting to heat up himself as he is burning against the Hulk's hands. Him actually starting to overpower the Hulk as Hulk just does continue to try and push back. Him getting angrier and angrier as the power does go from imbalance to starting to balance back out. Hulk starting to overpower him again as the Red Hulk does put more and more effort into it. As he does start to try to get angrier, and the area around him to start to heat up more. Now, a lot of people are caught off guard, as the Red Hulk actually is going to throw one of the Hulk's hands outwards and away from the battle, before just going to bring his fist downwards, smashing upwards into his gut, before going to reach upwards with his other hand to grab the Hulk by the back of the neck. Him smashing the Hulk's nose as hard as he can against his knee, as he's just trying to use tactic now. The two seem to be on equal playing fields. And Red Hulk, he does not like that. What he did to himself was supposed to put him far above the Hulk. However, there have been a few miscalculations, to say the least. He has an imperfect version, while the Hulk, he's just the Hulk. Now, With that being said, we do cut back over to Jean and Charles. The two of them are trying to dig through the Hulk's rage. And this shield, while it is actually less full of anger, it's just full of what seems like primal fear. And they're trying to get through it. As we do have where they do, and we actually do have where Jean, she's able to see it. Deku, he's sitting down in what looks to be a house of mirrors. And he's reaching his hand out to one. As whenever he does go to touch the glass, the moment his fingertips do meet, a reptilian hand has come out, grabbing onto Izuku's. As Rogue, or not Rogue, Jean, the moment she does that, there is actually whenever Charles, he does start to scream, him throwing his head back, as he is going to bring his hands up to rip off the helmet. The moment he does so, he just does throw it down and throw it right into the cerebral computer. As Charles, he is just looking down with his head in his hands. As we do cut back to the surface, where the two Hulks, they are trying to have a power battle. And Red Hulk, after whooping the Hulk's ass, just using some martial arts and tactics, he is talking about how he's going to kill him. As he does bring the Hulk into a chokehold before just bringing his hands up, him snapping the Hulk's neck as the Hulk's body just going to fall forwards. And everybody, they are very concerned. Red Hulk trying to explain to the Avengers as that he has finally done what he's been tasked to do, and that he's going to be leaving now. The Avengers trying to stop him, as we do have the mutants. Some people go running over to the corpse, and they are just, to say the least, horrified by what happened to their friend. However, there actually is something strange. The moment whenever Rogue should go to look down at the Hulk's hand, his fingers just start to twitch, as something strange is going on. His hands started to change as well. And the moment she did notice it, she did inform everyone that they need to get the hell out of here. As she does feel fear from the same image she has still from Deku's mind. The nightmare he was in. As we do have where the Hulk's head, it does go from rotating to the left to snapping back on. His eyes shooting open as he does start to rise up. Now, everybody, after taking a step backwards, they do look at it, as Hulk isn't the Hulk anymore. And whenever Red, he does go to turn after hearing the commotion, he does see something that he never thought he'd see. As another monster is rushing right at him before going to grab him directly by his face, and screaming at him as it is going to smash its head right into his. Digging its teeth right into its nose, is just going to pull back. Now, with that being said, the Red Hulk, he does go take a step backwards, bringing his hands up to his face, as he does look at the monster in front of him. And he does actually feel a bit more scared, as the monster in front of him, it could be best described as a devil. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed, and have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part.